Hey guys, it's Chance Williams. Welcome to another episode of Chance Shop Talks. So today is about parasitic draws and how to get your butt kicked. So I want to start off with my final results, and I'm going to walk you backwards to basically what happened. So I'd also like to state, and if you guys don't realize this and don't understand this, you're all practicing technicians out there that do this daily, such as I do. I don't know why we don't get that status, and I'd love for you guys to get paid a second time to go back and figure out what it was you did wrong. Now, I don't expect you to go back and get paid if you got stupid and left antifreeze out of a car or oil out of a car. I've never done anything quite like that. I have left an oil filter off one time, and that was a mess. But anyway, I want to walk you through what I actually got my butt kicked on. Kind of a little frustrated about it, and it's always got me. I've always tried to understand it a little better, but it never works out for me, and that's a low voltage amp probe. Most of the time when I first buy them, they're just like cherry. They work just great. Mine stays in the toolbox a lot. It doesn't get abused. It doesn't get kicked around, beat up, burnt, and stuff like that. I usually take pretty good care of my equipment. So I had gotten myself into a BMW 2006 model with a parasitic draw. The customer's complaint was that every 2 days the battery would die. Well, I was thinking, you know, amp, half an amp or something like that around that area for every 2 days, because it's a pretty good sized battery that's in there. The very first thing that I did was I checked the battery, and when I did check the battery, tried charging it, testing it, it failed. So I did put another battery in it, because that's the very first thing I do on those. Batteries will, bad batteries can lead you in the wrong direction, so that's the very first thing I think, in my opinion, you should really check. There's going to be several different ways I'm going to tell you how to check parasitic draw. The easiest way is usually across the fuses with a voltmeter. A lot of guys get intimidated by voltmeters because it's got so many different ranges on it, and most of the time they don't plug their leads into the right jack, and voila, you end up basically the same way. And you go back and recheck it. Did I do that? And next thing you know, dang, here we go, start over again. Well, guys, I'm a seasoned technician. I still make mistakes. I've been doing it over 30 years, and it never ceases to amaze me sometimes when your mind gets wrapped up in other things that you got to do, especially be a business owner. And as long as I have multiple jobs, or multiple hats, as you might call it. So I'd like to enlighten you that you're not the only ones that screw up out there. I do. And I'm just going to give you a big insight as to what happened, and using a low amperage probe too. So like I said, it's a BMW. I don't want to get myself caught up in BMWs no more than I have to. To start with, you guys know BMWs, you know dadgum good and well that there's fuses hidden everywhere, and you have to disassemble half the car to get to them. And I think that's ridiculous, but at the same time, you have to look at the engineer's point of view. And if you did, y'all still be cussing and raising Cain. I've come to realize it is what it is. They did what they did, and had to do what they had to do. So first thing you do is you put the car to sleep. The way that I do it is, number one, y'all see the famous screwdriver. I know you all use them. People don't buy hood shocks like they should. So I raise all my hood and bonnets and whatever they want to use the terminology, and I push my latches and stuff down. Now, BMW requires at least 70 minutes of sleep time for all the controllers to go to sleep. Now, the only thing that's on is the Prindle light. I have no idea why it doesn't go off, but it doesn't. I hadn't really investigated that, but it hadn't led me there. All my door latches, like I said, are all latched. So the way I have this set up right now is I have it set up with just a regular voltmeter. I have my leads in the right position. I have it on amps. I've got it tied here, and I got it tied here. So you can see that. Now I'm at 0.02 amps, so that's 20 milliamps. My goal is actually 50 milliamps or less. Now, what I guess one of the things that I hate, and if you let me back up, just move your decimal over and you got 22 milliamps. So that is milliamps. All right, this really expensive piece of equipment. Okay, I'm gonna show y'all guys where I started off. So I hope this goes well, and I hope it shows the same information I showed before. It's probably fixing to make a daggum liar out of me, because it just does. Now, anytime you guys disconnect something, if you pull a fuse out to check it, don't put it back in, because if you put it back in, then another controller is going to come awake and you got to wait so many seconds, like I said, 70 minutes or so for the car to go back to sleep. So you really don't want to do that. And I'll tell you another form of testing parasitic draws on older cars, guys, not newer ones. The ones that don't have a whole bunch of controllers, is just put you a test light in line. Okay, this right here, I actually go to sleep and this thing will get really super dim. It's already pretty dim, but after a little bit it'll go to sleep and it get even dimmer, or it'll just barely light, you know, only with 22 milliamps coming through there. So anyway, with that being said, we're going to hook this up real quick and it's going to pop, and the car's got to go to sleep, but not interested in letting it go to sleep right now. I'm more interested in showing you guys this what I run across using this low amp probe. And any of you other guys out there ever have the same problem? Well, let me back up. These voltmeters, if you use them like that, they cut off every 10 minutes. So you kind of got to move your switches back and forth, keep it alive, if you're going to play with it like that. If you're going to use it in that manner, let me say that. All right, so I've got this set up. I'll show you how I have it set up. This is really neat piece of equipment. I ain't knocking it. I love this. It's got, you know, tons of information in it. Okay, so I'm gonna show you where we're at. I'm actually went to digital meter, and we're gonna go to low amp 20, and then we're gonna pull this scale up right here. And of course you can see it's plugged in. We're gonna turn it on, and you're gonna see it toggle all over the place. Now, see if it'll do what it did with me. If it does, it's gonna make me mad. Doesn't, it's gonna make me bad. Yes, it's showing negative. I can't flip screen. All I gotta do really is just turn this around if you want. See, I turn it over, it goes to 0. And good goodness, good goody good goo, good goobity goo. And that's wrong, because there's some controllers still awake, because I just hooked the battery back up. Anyway, yesterday when I was using this thing, I hope it probably won't show it now. See, it ain't even working at all. Hold on. Turn it on, zero it out, hook it up here. Well, it's reading somewhat. So anyway, yesterday it had came up with 3,900 milliamps. Today, I don't know why it's doing what it's doing there, but it's coming up with over an amp. And it's bouncing back and forth, which could be oh, I'm sorry. Let me set it up like I had it yesterday so y'all would understand more. We'll go to trace. We'll go to 500 milliamps. And we'll go back. Let's see, display, peak. Put it on filter. Can't put it on filter that low. Okay. We'll go back, back, back. All right, so yesterday, this thing was reading 3,900. There we go. Yeah. It jumped up to 39. Okay, 3,900 milliamps is about 4 amps. So you got 1,000 milliamps per 1 amp. Well, it stayed there. So I said, okay, cool. I will actually see what's happening here. And I came over into here and went ahead and disassembled the fuse box and took the glove box and all this stuff out. But actually, before I had done that, I decided to go into a program that I used. It's called Direct Hit. I'll try to back up in the steps. All right, guys, so I went into Direct Hit, and it's a really good thing that I use. Matter of fact, I'm gonna have that, Identifix, all data, and the fusible chart link, or fuse chart link for amperage posted below. So I'm gonna show you this. So the car's keyed in here, as y'all can see that. So I actually punched in battery or parasitic draw. So it came up with how you're supposed to check it and all this other stuff. So I was in a hurry, so I said, look, one of the common things with this car is what they call a blower control final stage. Blower final control stage. So basically all that is big fancy word for resistor. And so I said, where is it located? All right, we know where it's located, so we went over here. That's when I had actually disassembled my dash, and or excuse me, not disassemble, I guess you can call it disassemble. So I pulled the glove box out of it, and if you look way up in there, that's where the little booger's hidden, way up in there. It wasn't too much getting to it. It was actually rather easy. But guys, I don't got the yoga tricks like I used to have. It gets tough, especially when you start having to wear glasses and you're up this close. You know, things get blurry and you don't know what you're taking off. But anyway, so I said, okay, well, let's get that bugger out. I did. And see, here's where I messed up. One of the ways I messed up right here, actually. This is it. It plugs into here. When I took this out and grabbed it, this thing should have been hot, and it was not hot at all. That aggravated me. So we'll plug it back up just to show you that that is not what it is. Y'all hang on. Bear with me 1 minute, guys. 1 minute here. All right, so it's plugged up. We'll come back here again and see it's still showing that roughly back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So actually yesterday what it had did, it dropped down to 0.02, and that was 20 milliamps, and I was like, sweet, that's all it is. I ordered the part right here, went to put it in. I decided I always check and recheck. I did. I rechecked it. That wasn't a problem. So me being me, let's find out what it is. Since I got the fuse box out of it, I got two other methods of checking for a draw. I showed y'all the test light, and I showed y'all the low amp probe. Now the other way of doing it is with a voltmeter. For you guys that get too intimidated about them, there's not a lot to them. You just got to understand how they work. Just make sure that your leads are plugged into the right place and your scale is set to where it belongs. So I started checking fuses. This fuse right here that's missing, that's the one that I had found. I'm gonna plug it back up. This is the one that I had found to have a problem. All these other fuses didn't have anything on them. So I took my voltmeter, had it on milliamps, and matter of fact, I'll show you again. We're going in backwards to where I worked, and look at this thing, still showing the same thing. I done got aggravated at that point of checking it the second time, because now I got a totally different reading. So with that being said, we take this, I think this is the right leads, yeah. We're hooking to our fuse. And we got, if I can get a reading off of it. See if I can get it up here. I'm not plugged. Oh, good gracious. I don't think it's like, yeah, it's got to be plugged in. That fuse is awful loose in there. All right, I got about 900 milliamps roughly is what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing 3,000 or whatever that is. So another thing that you guys could use is this neat little tool. It's called an amp hound. I hope you guys can see it all right. So it's really easy to use. It's not hard at all. We're going to pick the fuse type, and it's on minimum right there, the little dot, the little dash right there. We're going to move it up to standard. Then we're going to pick the size fuse being 30. And then we're gonna hold the button, let it go all dashes. And then we go here. Actually, that was at 900 milliamps a while ago, guys. That was about 600, I think, somewhere. Let's see if this comes up at about 600. All right, 30 amp fuse, 600. So I got 600 milliamps coming out of that. I was floored that, you know, my equipment is useless. It's freaking useless. So then I said, let's remove this fuse. Let's go back, take our voltmeter. If I don't destroy my equipment here. And if you can look, now with the fuse removed, it dropped. But if you just touch this thing, I guess I just had it in the right spot. See it jump up to 47? Now I showed y'all the true result of the voltmeter at 0.05. I think it was 5. That's 50 milliamps or less. I'm happy with that part of it, but I got kicked around a lot on this job for no reason. Now I'm gonna tighten this up right here. I don't think I got it tightened up, but maybe it'll work. It's gonna pop. Oh goodness, my thing's falling apart here. I don't got a good connection. Tighten this up a little more. Okay, that's a true reading. 400 milliamps or 0.4. Move the decimal over to the right and it shows you it's 441. You saw the true reading a while ago at 0.05, I think it was. That's what I'm going to end up at. You can't always trust your equipment. It can be disgusting sometimes to us guys, especially you guys that are on commission out there. But my problem is I broke protocol. I usually check, double check, and recheck, but I had a problem with time, and the time was I had to get it done. And I still have a problem with time. As I said, we're all practicing technicians out there. We get frustrated and tuckered and beat up, but it is what it is. So anyway, after checking all the fuses, I went ahead and I came over back to my database, which I can post in here what I found. So I found that fuse and I had to find out what number it was, and it was marked on the housing that it's in. So I had came over here to this part right here, my power distribution. And a lot of you guys know how to read charts and stuff. So this fuse 108, I found another place in there with that fuse 108 right there. Actually, it says 250 milliamp fuse or 250 amp fuse. That's a pretty hefty fuse. It feeds this power distribution center right here where I was. Let me see if I can find the fuse 41. I don't know if I can find it quickly enough, but I'll find it here. I think I had it marked, but then again, I've been back and forth all over this screen right here. So anyway, give me a second. Y'all give me a second. Fuse 46, 45, 44, 49, 48, 41. All right, there's 41 right there, guys, right here. It's right there, inside this box, right there, fuse 41. And if you follow this fuse out of this power distribution center, it powers up radio and an amplifier right there. Okay, well, I ain't pulling a radio out of BMW. I ain't doing it. It's a factory radio. If it had been an aftermarket radio, that'd have been the first source that I attacked. But look, that's factory radio. I ain't pulling it. So I know it's the radio that's causing this issue because the amp is located right here, right there in the back, right there. And thank you for your engineering work to put the connector way back here. There's my arm, That's what happened to it yesterday, trying to get that connector unplugged. So I got it unplugged. This stayed the same. If you look, now it's done dropped. I didn't have to wait 70 minutes. That little light in there, it actually gets a little lower than this right here. So I'm at the my 50 milliamp mark. Guys, that's what your target is. You're looking for 50 milliamps or less. Now, one other thing is, if y'all using these voltmeters, they time out at about 10 minutes. If you just go over and switch the scale on it and move it back, it'll stay on longer than 10 minutes. All right, so now you guys know pretty much how to check a parasitic draw. It's not rocket science, but it can be a little complicated. Actually, it can be a lot complicated, but so far so good, right? Hey, we appreciate y'all. Please subscribe. Please, if this has been useful and helpful to you guys, write some comments and a link and we'll get back with you. Thank y'all and have a good Memorial Day weekend.